Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel, where we explore the most fascinating myths and legends from around the world. Today we journey to West Africa, to the land of the Yoruba people, to uncover the story of the drum that always gave food. It's a tale filled with magic, mystery, and a powerful lesson about human nature. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this captivating Yoruba folktale. Our story begins long ago, during a time of great famine. The rains had failed, the crops had withered, and the land was parched and barren. People were starving, and despair hung heavy in the air. In a small village lived a hunter named Ajan. He was known for his skill and bravery, but even he struggled to find any game. Day after day, he would venture deep into the forest, his bow and arrow ready, only to return empty-handed. His family grew weaker, and his heart ached with worry. One morning, determined to find something, anything, to feed his loved ones, Ayan journeyed farther into the forest than he ever had before. He walked for hours, the silence of the woods broken only by the crunch of dry leaves under his feet. Just as he was about to lose all hope, he stumbled into a clearing he had never seen before. It was an eerie, otherworldly place. The trees were twisted into strange shapes, and an unusual light filtered through the canopy. In the center of this mysterious clearing, Ayan saw a group of dwarves. They were short, stout beings with long beards and ancient, knowing eyes. They were dancing in a circle, and in the middle of their circle was a small, ornate drum. As they danced, one of the dwarves would beat the drum, and with each beat, a magnificent feast would appear out of thin air. Plates piled high with pounded yam, bowls of rich egusi soup, roasted meats and sweet, juicy fruits materialized before Ayan's astonished eyes. He hid behind a large baobab tree, his mouth watering at the sight and smell of the food. He watched as the dwarves ate their fill, laughed and danced some more. Ayan realized this was no ordinary drum. It was a magical drum, a drum that could banish hunger forever. A powerful desire took hold of him. He knew he had to have that drum. It could save his family, his entire village. He waited patiently until the dwarves, full and content, lay down to nap in the shade. Moving as silently as a shadow, Ayan crept into the clearing. His heart pounded in his chest like a war drum. He reached the center, his eyes fixed on the magical object. He gently picked up the drum, his fingers trembling. It was surprisingly light, and it seemed to hum with a gentle energy. Clutching his prize, he turned and fled from the clearing, running as fast as his legs could carry him, not daring to look back. When Ayan arrived back in his village, he was greeted by the somber faces of his starving family. He gathered them all inside his hut, his eyes shining with excitement. He placed the small drum in the center of the room, and remembering what he had seen the dwarves do, he struck it. 1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats. In an instant, the room was filled with the most incredible feast they had ever seen. There was more food than they could possibly eat. His family cried with joy and relief. The famine was over for them. Word of Ayan's miraculous drum spread like wildfire through the village. Soon, everyone was coming to his hut, and Ayan, being a kind man, shared his good fortune with all. Every day, he would beat the drum, and every day, a grand feast would appear for the entire village. Ayan became a hero, a savior. The villagers praised him, sang songs about him, and brought him gifts. Life was good, and the dark days of hunger were forgotten. But as time went on, something began to change in Ayan. The constant praise and admiration started to feed not just his stomach, but his pride. He was no longer the humble hunter who simply wanted to feed his family. He began to see himself as a king, a man of immense power and importance. He started to demand more respect, more gifts, and more control. The drum, which was once a symbol of hope and community, became a symbol of his personal power. His best friend, a wise man named Oal, noticed this change and grew concerned. One evening he approached Ayan. "My friend," Oal said gently, "this drum has been a great blessing, but remember where it came from. Do not let it make you forget who you are. Humility is a greater treasure than any magic." Ayan scoffed at his friend's warning. "Humility? I saved this village. I deserve this respect. You are just jealous of my power." Oho left, his heart heavy with foreboding. He knew that pride often comes before a fall. Ayan's arrogance continued to grow. One day, he decided to host the grandest feast the world had ever seen. He sent messengers to neighboring villages, inviting everyone to come and witness his power. He wanted to show off his magical drum to as many people as possible. He boasted that he would create a feast so large it would feed thousands. On the day of the feast, a massive crowd gathered in the village square. Ayan, dressed in the finest robes, strode to the center of the square and placed the drum on a pedestal. He looked out at the expectant crowd, smug smile on his face. He was ready for his moment of ultimate glory. He raised the drumstick high and brought it down with a mighty crash. But instead of delicious food, something else appeared. A group of dwarves, the very same ones from the forest clearing, materialized in a puff of smoke. Their faces were not friendly and joyful as they had been in the forest. They were stern and angry. One of the dwarves, who seemed to be their leader, stepped forward and pointed a finger at Ayan. "Thief!" he boomed, his voice echoing across the silent square. "You stole our drum! You used its magic for your own glory and fed your pride instead of the hungry." The crowd gasped. Ayan stood frozen, his face pale with shock and fear. The dwarves began to dance around him, but this was not a dance of celebration. It was a dance of judgment. As they danced, they beat the drum. But with each beat, instead of food, long, thin whips appeared in their hands. They closed in on Ayan, their eyes blazing with anger. Then they began to whip him. The whips cracked through the air, striking Ayan again and again. He cried out in pain and shame, falling to his knees, but the dwarves were relentless. They whipped him for his theft, for his arrogance, and for his disrespect of the magic he had been given. The crowd watched in stunned silence, a mixture of pity and understanding on their faces. They realized the truth in Oho's warning. The whipping continued until Ayan was humbled, his fine robes torn and his body weak. Finally, the dwarves stopped. Their leader picked up the drum. "Let this be a lesson to all," he declared. "Magic is a gift, not a right. It should be treated with respect and humility, not used for selfish pride." With a final, thunderous beat of the drum, the dwarves and the magical instrument vanished in another puff of smoke, leaving Ayan alone and disgraced in the center of the square. The grand feast never appeared. The crowd slowly dispersed, leaving Ayan to reflect on his actions. From that day on, Ayan was a changed man. He returned to being a simple hunter, but he carried the memory of the magical drum and the painful lesson he had learned. The famine eventually ended when the rains returned, but the story of Ayan and the drum that always gave food was passed down from generation to generation. It serves as a powerful reminder that the greatest gifts can be corrupted by greed and pride, and that true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in our character and our humility. It is a timeless lesson that resonates just as strongly today as it did all those years ago in that Yoruba village. What do you think of this story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you and discussing these incredible tales. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey today. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more myths and legends from around the world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We have so many more stories to share with you. Until next time, stay curious.